You've counted calories obsessively. You've tried keto, then paleo, then whatever came after that. And still, that belly fat sticks around like an unwanted guest. Here's something worth sitting with. Okinawa, a small island in southern Japan, has one of the highest concentrations of people living past 100 anywhere on Earth. Researchers call it a blue zone, and when scientists studied why, the answer wasn't a supplement or a superfood. It was a handful of quiet daily habits that kept stress hormones low for decades. Because here's the thing about cortisol that most weight loss advice ignores completely. It's not just a short-term spike from a stressful morning. In Okinawa, researchers found something remarkable. Older residents showed cortisol patterns that stayed remarkably stable and low over an entire lifetime. Not because their lives were stress-free, but because of specific cultural buffers built into how they ate, moved, and connected with each other. Let's break down the 5 habits behind it. Step 1. Hara hachi. This Confucian-influenced practice, still spoken before meals in Okinawa today, means eating until you're 80% full, not one bite more. Dr. Bradley Wilcox, who has spent decades researching Okinawan centenarians through the Okinawa Centenarian study, found that this single habit was strongly associated with lower caloric intake overall, without anyone consciously restricting or counting anything. Here's the mechanism. It takes your brain roughly 15 to 20 minutes to register fullness signals from your stomach through the hormone leptin. Eating until you feel completely stuffed means you've already blown past the point where your body actually needed you to stop, sometimes by several hundred calories. Consistently eating to 80% doesn't just reduce calories. It reduces the constant digestive overload that keeps your body in a low-grade inflammatory state, and chronic inflammation is directly tied to elevated cortisol and increased abdominal fat storage. So here's how you apply it. Eat slowly. Stop when you feel satisfied, not stuffed. Give yourself permission to leave food on the plate. Step 2. Ikigai. It translates roughly to reason for being, the thing that gets you out of bed each morning. Researchers studying Okinawan longevity found that having a clear sense of ikigai was directly linked to lower cortisol levels and reduced markers of chronic stress, even among people well into their 90s who are still gardening, fishing, or teaching. Here's why this matters physiologically. A sense of purpose activates your parasympathetic nervous system, shifting your body out of constant low-grade threat detection and into a state where it isn't preparing for crisis. People without a clear sense of purpose, by contrast, show elevated cortisol patterns even in the absence of any obvious external stressor. Essentially, an idle nervous system tends to manufacture its own background stress. You don't need to find your life's grand mission overnight. Ask yourself what small task, hobby, or responsibility genuinely makes you lose track of time, and protect a little space for it daily. Step 3. Moai. This is a lifelong social support circle. Small groups of friends, sometimes formed in childhood, who commit to checking in on each other regularly for decades. It's not a casual friendship. It's a structured, mutual support system. Research published by the Okinawa Centenarian study found that strong, consistent social bonds were one of the most significant predictors of both longevity and lower chronic cortisol levels among the island's oldest residents. Dr. Robert Waldinger, who leads Harvard's long-running study on adult development, has found something remarkably similar globally. Close relationships are one of the strongest predictors of long-term health, partly because reliable social support directly buffers the body's stress response. Isolation, by contrast, has been shown in multiple studies to elevate cortisol to levels comparable with chronic physical illness. Applying this doesn't mean joining a formal group tomorrow. It means intentionally maintaining 2 or 3 relationships you can rely on consistently, not just when it's convenient. Step 4. Nuchi Gusui. Food as medicine. Traditional Okinawan cuisine centers heavily on an enormous variety of plants: purple sweet potato, bitter melon, seaweed, turmeric, prepared simply, without heavy processing. This isn't just about nutrients. Researchers studying the traditional Okinawan diet found it to be remarkably anti-inflammatory. high in antioxidants and polyphenols that directly counteract oxidative stress, one of the underlying drivers of chronically elevated cortisol. Bitter melon specifically has been studied for its effect on blood sugar regulation, and stable blood sugar means fewer insulin spikes, which means less of the stress hormone cascade that follows a sugar crash. You don't need to fly to Okinawa to apply this. It means shifting toward more variety in plants, particularly bitter or fibrous vegetables, rather than defaulting to the same three processed staples most of us eat on repeat. Step 5. Gentle, continuous movement. Okinawan elders rarely go to a gym. Instead, daily life is built around continuous, low-intensity movement, gardening, walking to see neighbors, traditional dance, simple stretching routines practiced well into old age. Researchers studying blue zone populations found that this kind of incidental movement, spread throughout the entire day rather than concentrated into one intense session, was associated with significantly lower cortisol variability compared to sedentary populations who occasionally did intense exercise. Here's the key difference. A single intense workout can actually spike cortisol sharply in the short term. Frequent, gentle movement throughout the day keeps cortisol in a steady, low range without ever spiking it hard in either direction. Applying this looks like standing up and moving every hour, gardening if you have the space, or simply taking multiple short walks throughout your day instead of one long session. So let's bring it all together. 5 habits. Eat to 80% full, not until you're stuffed. Find and protect your sense of purpose. Build a small, reliable circle of people who actually check in on you. Eat a wider variety of plants, especially bitter or fibrous ones, and move gently and often throughout the day, rather than intensely once. None of these require a gym membership, a supplement stack, or a strict diet. They require you to build the kind of steady, low-stress daily rhythm that an entire island of centenarians has been quietly running on for generations. Because belly fat isn't really about a single meal or a single workout. It's about whether your body has spent decades feeling safe enough to stop storing for a crisis that never actually needed to happen. If this changed the way you think about longevity and stress, hit the like button, subscribe if you want more science-backed cultural habits like this, and drop a comment telling me which of these 5 habits you're going to try first. I'll see you in the next one.